So, welcome everybody. I'm so excited that you're here. We have some new people on with us tonight too. I'm excited about that. So tonight we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. And let me start over because apparently I was muted. Welcome everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. We have some new people on tonight and I'm excited about that. So thank you all for joining us. We have a lot of, I have a couple of things I want to talk to you guys about tonight. And one will hopefully lead into the other. At least that's the way it was working out in my head. So hopefully that's the way it will play out. We'll see. So normally I start off with some sort of a positive thought, and because I know that what I've got going on in my head is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm going to just go right into it, and then the thought's going to be a poem here in a little bit that I'm going to read. So within the last month or so, or longer, but I know within the last month, I've had more than the norm of people approaching me, or I hear about, or whatever, feeling really discouraged about being single. And we've had that, throughout, right? Like, who doesn't at times? But when it comes to being single, we've had a lot of people feeling like giving up, feeling like I'm hearing a lot of generalities of no one will commit, or I can't find anyone, or all women are this, or all men are that, or whatever, right? And I know that the purpose of the single adult program in the church is not for dating. It is not matchmaking or whatever. That is not the purpose of it. I got that loud and clear. But I do know that there is no better place to meet somebody than at a single adult event, if that is your goal, is to remarry or find somebody to be married. And so tonight what I want to talk about is I want to hit on, we're going to talk about for a little bit of what people go through and what they feel when they feel discouraged, when they feel like, can't find anybody or whatever. And I'm going to, as usual, be a little vulnerable with you. I'm going to share some things that I went through early on. And then we're going to talk about the healthy relationship model. And I don't know if Brian Kellogg is going to be on here or not, but he did already type out some things for me in case he's not here tonight. So if we think about it, there have been a lot of people just within the last little bit that I've been able to talk to, and I have a lot of just near and dear friends. I just love so many people, and I have a strong testimony of the single adult program. I know that it was inspired, and I know that there's a purpose for it. But there's a lot of people that feel really discouraged, feel unsupported, feel like, why try, right? Like, throw hands up in the air, I'm done. I've done all I know to do. It's not happening. It's not coming about. Can't find anybody to even date, right? So as many of you know, I've been single for about 12 years. So we've got some background noise coming from somebody. Rebecca, can you mute?
How do I mute?
Hold on. There you go. I got you. I think that may take care of that. All right. So I don't know. There was like some static or something there. Okay. So anyway, early on, I'm not going to go into my story. I've shared enough on Easter. I'm not going to get any more than that involved. But I remember early on having the thought going through my head: who in their right mind is going to sign up to take on this load, right? Me, 5 kids, fatherless kids, 5 kids, been married 3 times, whatever. I mean, it sounds so bad on paper, right? So it sounds bad when you say it out loud too sometimes. But either way, it's just like, who would take this on, right? Because there's so many women out there, so many good, wonderful, solid women that are out there, and that are easier than what my load was. So early on, that was some things I was saying. And then I went through a stage of, well, okay, maybe somebody would take on the load because, it was stuff that just happened to me. It wasn't stuff that, whatever. But then my self-talk was, I'm just the girl next door. Nobody's going to want to date me. There's so many other women that are way more attractive, so many other women that are, way better at whatever, more talented, more gifted, more whatever. I'm just not really that good. And then I went through other phases of not feeling good enough. Feeling like maybe I wasn't thin enough, maybe I wasn't pretty enough, maybe I wasn't little whatever enough, right? Any of this sound familiar to any of you? Just nod. I know, we're women. I know, you guys probably not. Women, we're there, right? So I had to really work at, and it wasn't until I realized and learned, I've shared with you guys before, I'm a personal development junkie. I'm not going to go into recovery because I kind of like it. And I started working on some stuff through therapy and through other means. I learned that we attract what we reflect. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example. For instance, let's say, for instance, you do not want to attract a man that's going to put you down. But in your head, you do that to yourself. You're not really good at this. This is stupid. You're so stupid. How can you be so crazy to think this, right? You're this, you're that, you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're whatever, right? Sorry, I was just remembering things my parents told me when I was a kid. And that self-talk played in my head for a while until I shifted that self-talk to replace it, because you can't get rid of it. You've got to replace it with something else. Okay? And it wasn't until I started feeling different things about myself and started working on who I was, having my relationship get right with the Lord, having my relationship get right with myself, that I was able to attract better quality men, or so I felt. Okay? Now, again, I've not, many people know it's not like I date a whole lot or whatever. It's just not something that I've done. And it's so funny, I kind of tease Julie Libbert, if you know her. She's like one of my best friends. And I'm like, well, if Julie's standing beside me, who do you think men are going to come to, right? They're going to come to the tall blonde. Not to me, right? And it's kind of a joke between us. Like, oh, look, man's coming to the table. Julie, get ready. But again, that's kind of self-talk still. So, but as women, we tend to put ourselves down more if we feel like we screwed up as a mother. And just on that note, behind every successful kid is a woman who thinks she completely screwed up. Make you feel any better? It sure did me. Do you know who told me that? My son's scoutmaster. At the time, I was really struggling and really feel like I just screwed up so bad as a mom, and still trying to reel from, recovery of everything that had happened. And that was still only a couple of years in. And during sacrament meeting one day, he wrote me a letter and gave it to me after. And I thought, oh no, he's going to tell me how I offended him and something I said, because I was always good at sticking my foot in my mouth and saying something to offend somebody or whatever. So I was hesitant to read it, and then I just bawled when he did, and it was what I needed at the time, and it made me feel better about what I was going through and what I was doing. So anyway, So if you feel like you're not lovable, if you feel like, no one's ever going to love you, or I'm not worth loving, or I'm, whatever, you're going to attract people that won't love you. If you're putting yourself down, you're going to attract people who will put you down. If you are feeling, you're getting my gist here, right? So if you want to get a good quality person, man, woman, whatever the case may be, in your life, you attract what you reflect. Okay. And I want you to keep that in mind. Now, let's back up just a little bit before we fast forward. We're going to back up just a little bit to that defeated thought of, it's just not worth it anymore to go to these single adult events. Every time I go, nobody asks me to dance. It's just crushing my self-esteem every time. I'm talking more for women. Guys, you can speak up in a minute and share what your thoughts. I'm just telling you, I know where a lot of these women have been, so I've been there too. Especially to a dance, right? You're getting all dressed up and you're thinking you're looking your best, and you're going in and you sit at a table for the night. And then you're feeling discouraged because no one seems interested, right? Like, you're like, why the heck am I doing all this? Why am I going through all this just to whatever? Well, I'm going to tell you that when I go to a dance, I, especially early on, I was right there with you, sitting at a table, went through many nights of not getting asked for dance or not asked to dance or whatever. Then I started doing what I call table hopping. And that sounds worse than it is. But table hopping is one where I go from table to table, getting to know people. Hi, my name is Paula. Where are you from? And I started doing that. And I made some friends. More girlfriends than guy friends, but I made some friends. And then I'll get to that comment in a minute, Brian, remind me. And then I went to, I got called to a position because I asked if there were single adult events in my area. That's all it takes, apparently, in some ways, to get a calling in this thing. So I did the table hopping thing, and then girlfriends are great at peer pressure of being able to, being able to do things. But then with a calling, I got to do what I do best, and that is look busy. Okay. So I was in the kitchen, I was setting up, I was putting out the food, I was mingling. Then it became a calling that I had to get out there and talk to people, and I had to reach beyond my comfort zone. And it helped me so much. It has been such a huge blessing in my life. But what I get more now from men is, hey, Paula, do you have a number for fill in the blank other woman? Okay. And I don't give out personal information. So, and I've let that be known, but I can tell you, even last week, I had a man message me, do you have a number for that woman? And I was like, no, I don't. And even if I did, I wouldn't give it to you. Because I really do feel like, if you're going to have a relationship with somebody, you need to contact them. You need to personally get their permission. I'm not going to be your middleman. I'm not going to be the matchmaker. I'm not doing that. But that was the way, though, that men were reacting to me. And my kids have noticed that within the last year, I've dated more than I have probably in the entire 12 years I've been single. And the difference was my self-talk changed. So within the last couple of years, my friend Julie, I went to and I said, I need to change how I look and how I come across. Because I come across really serious. I'm in that leadership mode, and I'm in that take charge. It's more of a masculine energy kind of thing. Well, men are more attracted to feminine energy, I would think. At least that's the man I wanted to attract, right? So so I needed to make that shift. And it took me a while because I was really good at creating that masculine energy of that take charge, of the serious whatever, of the way that I dressed or whatever. It wasn't like I was dressing masculine, but it was just different. I wasn't dressing as feminine as I could have. So anyway, so my girlfriends got involved and they helped me. And they helped me make that change for a little bit. In my attitude and in my personal development, in my mindset, in the way that I dress. They gave me pointers on dressing. That was helpful because I was so good at it. Anyway, so that helped a lot in being able to have more opportunities, shall we say. And then but it's still lonely, right? We're all fighting that. And Brian made a comment here. He's saying, oh wait, wrong button. He said it's definitely not just women. Paula, it's crazy how lonely you can feel in a room of 100 to 300 people. Some of you may have felt that even last weekend at the Charleston conference. There were a lot of people. There were people at the table where I was. Oh, Della saying, people at the table where I was on the ship Saturday night all agreed that the noise with a beat was passing from music. Oh, okay, I'm not going to read that one. Anyway, so because we're not, just a reminder, we don't want to bash leaders. We don't want to bash people. We're here to be positive, uplifting, and encouraging as much as possible. If ever you've got to share anything about your past that's negative, part of your story, that's totally fine. But we don't want to we're not going to get into negative type things. So anyway, but within the last week, I had a couple of really just wonderful friends that I had the opportunity to talk with that just felt so discouraged in their life and feeling like what they were doing was not enough, and that maybe they just needed to start dating non-members, or maybe they just needed to do whatever to be able to find somebody, because trying to parent and trying to sit in church every week by yourself and keep plugging along is not easy. And so one thing that I do tell people a lot is to trust in the Lord's timing. But so many people think, well, it didn't happen in this time frame, so it's probably just not going to happen at all. So before I go much further, I have a poem that I want to read to you guys. And some of you may be familiar with it. It's called The Race. Quit, give up, you're beaten. They shout at me and plead. There's just too much against you now. This time you can't succeed. And as I start to hang my head in front of failure's face, my downward fall is broken by the memory of a race. And hope refills my weakened will as I recall that scene, where just the thought of that short race rejuvenates my being. A children's race, young boys, young men, how I remember well. Excitement, sure, but also fear. It wasn't hard to tell. They all lined up so full of hope, each thought to win that race, or tie for first, or if not that, at least take second place. And fathers watched from off the side, each cheering for his son, and each boy hoped to show his dad that he would be the one. The whistle blew and off they went, young hearts and hopes afire. To win and be the hero there was each young boy's desire. And one boy in particular, whose dad was in the crowd, was running near the lead and thought, my dad will be so proud. But as he speeded down the field across a shallow dip, the little boy who thought to win lost his step and slipped. Trying hard to catch himself, his hands flew out to brace, and mid the laughter of the crowd, he fell flat on his face. So down he fell, and with him hope he couldn't win it now. Embarrassed, sad, he only wished to disappear somehow. But as he fell, his dad stood up and showed his anxious face, which to the boy so clearly said, "Get up and win the race." He quickly rose, no damage done, behind a bit, that's all, and ran with all his mind and might to make up for his fall. So anxious to restore himself, to catch up and to win, his mind went faster than his legs. He slipped and fell again. He wished then he had quit before, with only one disgrace. "I'm hopeless as a runner now. I shouldn't try to race." But in the laughing crowd he searched and found his father's face, that steady look which said again, "Get up and win the race." So he jumped up to try again, 10 yards behind the last. "If I'm to gain those yards," he thought, "I've got to move real fast." Exerting everything he had, he gained 8 or 10. But trying so hard to catch the lead, he slipped and fell again. Defeat, he lied there silently, a tear dropped from his eye. "There's no sense in running anymore. 3 strikes, I'm out. Why try?" The will to rise had disappeared. All hope had fled away. So far behind, so error-prone, a loser all the way. "I've lost, so what's the use," he thought. "I'll live with my disgrace." But then he thought about his dad, who soon he'd have to face. "Get up," an echo sounded low. "Get up and take your place. You were not meant for failure here. Get up and win the race." With borrowed will, "Get up," it said. "You haven't lost it all. For winning is no more than this, to rise each time you fall." So up he rose to run once more, and with a new commit, he resolved that win or lose, at least he wouldn't quit. So far behind the others now, the most he'd ever been, still he gave it all he had and ran as though to win. 3 times he'd fallen stumbling, 3 times he rose again, too far behind to hope to win. He still ran to the end. They cheered the winning runner as he crossed the line first place, head high and proud and happy, no falling, no disgrace. But when the falling youngster crossed the line last place, the crowd gave him the greater cheer for finishing the race. And even though he came in last with head bowed low, unproud, you would have thought he had won the race to listen to the crowd. And to his dad he sadly said, "I didn't do so well." "To me you won," his father said. "You rose each time you fell. And when things seem dark and hard and difficult to face, the memory of that little boy helps me in my race. For all of life is like that race, with ups and downs and all you have to do to win is rise each time you fall. Quit, give up, you're beaten," they still shout in my face. But another voice within me says, "Get up and win the race." Now, I heard that poem probably 30 years ago, and it comes to mind over and over and over again throughout my life. Remember that you only fail when you quit, when you give up. The Lord's timing is not our timing. People know me because of my calling and because I'm at everything, almost obnoxious. And I tell people all the time, I'd willingly give this up. You know, I'm not planning to be a career single, but I'm making the most of it while I'm in it. I'm giving 100% while I'm here. I will show up. I will be there. I will prepare myself. I will do everything that I can to put in my best effort to show the Lord I'm doing my part. Now, think about this when you're looking for somebody and you're like, but it's not happening, right? So 12 years ago may not have been the time frame for my husband. Maybe not only did I need a change, because I know that didn't need to happen, because I had a lot of stuff to work through. I had to get right with the Lord. I had to get right with myself, right? But also, he's at a point where he had to prepare to be ready. He had to have different experiences, right? It's not just one. There's two people. So I tell people all the time, pray for your future husband or wife, because they may be struggling with something right now, and they're needing your prayers. To say not to quit, not to give up, is easy to say. So easy to say, not easy to do. President Uchtdorf said that it is better, we do need to endure to the end, right? That lovely phrase, enduring to the end. But doing it cheerfully is a lot of times our challenge. To trust the Lord in his timing isn't making a deal with him. It isn't saying, well, Lord, I've done this. Why isn't this happening? Because maybe there's something else you still need to do and experience. There were things I still needed to do and experience, because I'm telling you, when I was 39, going through my divorce, I'm 51 now, people. I've been doing this a long time. When I was 39, going through my separation and divorce, I thought, surely I'll be married by the time I'm 45. And the year I turned 45, I'm like, I got 11 months. And then my 46th birthday happened. 47 and on, it's still counting. So I needed to go through more than what I thought I needed to go through, than what my plan was. Because my plan was obviously not the Lord's plan, but I can tell you, the woman I am today will make a much better wife than the woman I was at 45, or the one I was at 40, or whatever, right? So, because I have continued to work on who I am. And I'm not going to bring in the past to my future relationship, which is huge, huge. We don't want to put that on someone else, right? That's not their thing. Although there are people that will say, well, I don't want somebody with baggage. And to them I say, you don't want me. I need somebody willing to help carry the stuff, because it's a heavy load. But we all have baggage. We all do. And so anybody to say that, they're discounting their own stuff. And we all have stuff that we have to work through and work on, and that's okay. So at this point, I want to open up, and I want to hear your thoughts on what I've shared with you. And this is just a voluntary thing for those of you that are new. I'm not asking that everybody go through to do that. You definitely just unmute yourself if you want to share your thoughts, and then go for it.
It's me. I'm Heidi. Participating here, and Paula, I feel like you're telling my story. Have a lot of the same experiences you're having, and it's very hard. I did start dating outside the church, and probably one of the worst things I've done. I mean, I need the experience, but I too am working on myself personally, and I go to therapy as well. And I am trying to become a better person, to not bring that baggage with me. It's going to come with me, but it's going to be packed in a much better package, and I'll be able to handle it a lot better.
Amen. Amen.
So, but I have this feeling of, I experience all the feelings that you've shared, but one thing that I feel through therapy and through bettering myself, and really just, it's huge introspection and just self-awareness of you and your struggles and your trials and your issues and your biases and your pain and all this kind of stuff. Sometimes I feel like I'm growing so much emotionally that I feel like I'm shortening my pool. People don't do this work. A lot of people don't do the work that we do. Like we're choosing to do the emotional, mental work. And I feel like sometimes our standards are standards and very high standards. And so that limits our pool. And then now I feel like because I'm growing, as much as I'm growing, that pool is being limited even more. Do you struggle with that as well?
Thank you for sharing that. And I will tell you, I have felt those same exact feelings and experienced that. And my standards got higher. I did shorten my pool. I did. And what I have learned through that is I only plan to be married to one man. And it was the man that the Lord was, whatever. I don't know if you want to believe that he's preparing you or whatever, but the man that I would marry, that would appreciate what I have done, where I'm at, and the work, and value that, and support that, and love that, okay? So Heidi, you do want to shorten your pool. You don't want to have 100 options, right? You want to be able to narrow that down. So that's a good thing, okay? But I do remember feeling those same things, like, oh my goodness. And I've had people tell me my standards were too high, and I'm like, so be it. I'd rather be single than to settle. Because I'm teaching my kids, right? Like I've got 5 kids that I'm an example to. Am I really going to bring in somebody that's going to compromise standards in the church? No, I'm not going to do that, right? I've been teaching them their whole life about the gospel and how families can be together forever and temple marriage and whatever. Am I going to go date and marry outside the church? That's the very reason I don't. Because if I do, then, and as women and even as men, but I know in Relief Society we've been taught that we influence generations. Generations. The decisions and the choices that we make as women influence our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and more. The self-talk we do teaches our daughters how to talk to themselves, our sons how to talk to women, right? And Satan wants to discourage us all, men and women, to make us feel like we're defeated, to make us feel like, why try? Why keep going on? It's so much easier outside of the church, and it is. It is. I'm not arguing that. But the right way is not the easy way. It just isn't. The right way is the Lord's way. And the Lord will show us how. And will provide a way for us to meet that one special person at whatever time frame that is in his time frame for us to do that. Maybe there's just a little bit more we need to do or they need to do or whatever for us to get to that. Okay? But Satan knows, right? He's already hurt our families. Most of us, I think, are divorced, or widowed or something in some way, right? And I don't mean to offend any of you that are widowed. I'm more speaking to the people that are divorced. He's already attacked our families. And he's going to try to tear us down individually. We can't let him do that. We just can't. That's not an option. We've got to be able to support each other. And that's one of the beauties of the single adult program, is that we can support, encourage, and uplift each other. I love it when someone reaches out to me and wants that support or needs a friend to talk to or whatever. I feel honored when they do that. because I get to share insight that I have gained through my experiences. I tell people all the time, based on my experience, I had a choice, and we all do when we go through a divorce, when we go through the death of a spouse or whatever. We all have a choice, and whatever decisions that we make will take us either further closer to the Lord or further away. We can choose to be bitter or better. Those are our options. There are no other options, really. I mean, that's what it all kind of boils down to. What are you going to do to become who you need to become? Or are you going to try to force it, to force a relationship, or to try to manipulate it, or to make that person like you, or to whatever? I know I have friends that get discouraged when they think I should go after some guy that, may be a possibility or whatever, and I don't do it the way they want me to do it, kind of thing. And they're like, well, Paula, how are you going to meet somebody? And I'm like, you know what? I will show interest to a certain point. Beyond that, it's on them. If they're interested in me, they'll keep coming back. If not, they'll go find somebody else, and that's okay. I've been married to a man that let me know after we were married he didn't want me. This time I want them to tell me before that. Because if they don't want to be with me, totally okay. Totally okay. I'm all good. It's not going to hurt me whatsoever. You just keep finding whoever you want. That's all good, right? I'd much rather have it before. It hurt to my soul after. I don't want to do that again, right? So if somebody feels like they need to go play the field, go play the field. You're good. All good. Go do that. Go. You get my point, right? So, but I'm looking for the one. That one. And I'm not giving up. It's going to happen. I have a feeling. What?
Can I say something?
Oh, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so one of my biggest hang-ups to is and to keep hope alive, that there's someone out there for me is because of the choices that I made in my past. And so I've never been married, and I have 2 different children by 2 different fathers. And I was raised in the church. I was born and raised in the church, and I left, and I took a different path. And so I struggle with, and I think that's why I started to date outside the church, because people outside the church, or men outside the church, are more willing to accept that than the men that I have come across in the church.
Okay. I'm going to give you something real quick, and then I want to open it up. I want you men to respond to what Heidi just said. Lori, I don't know, what was it, 2 months ago? I know several of you were on that call, shared the very same story, Heidi. You're not alone. And it's totally okay. That one man that is for you won't care. It won't matter. It will be a non-issue. Sorry, I'm probably speaking for the men now, but okay, Brian just said, Heidi, you're in the misfit club with us now. We've all been through crazy stuff and have our own baggage. You fit in with us. You need to meet Brian. Brian's an awesome man. He just doesn't have a mic, so he can't be on right now. But all right. So I'm going to open it up to the men. I want you guys to respond to that.
Well, I'd like to speak. Paula, it's probably not what you're saying, but what I kind of hear is one guy that was sort of predestined in a premortal existence to do that. And I don't believe in that. I believe that
and that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying nothing about the pre-existence. It has nothing to do with that at all.
I believe that any people who live righteously and follow the Lord.
Okay, Dale, can you guys hear what Dale's saying? Okay, Dale, I think you're going to need to put it in chat because we can't hear what you're saying. There's something wrong with your mic.
All right.
I just muted myself, sorry. So other men, hopefully your mics are working. Would you guys share to carry your thoughts?
I can share my thoughts.
Thank you, Fred.
Well, Heidi, let me tell you my conversion story.
Okay, Fred, can you give the shortened version of your conversion? It's a fabulous conversion story. Give us the watered down version.
It relates to this kind of.
I know it does. I know it does.
My conversion story, and I'm not going to tell you the whole thing.
No, it's okay. Okay.
I was a non-member, and I married a member, and we had a child in 6 months. I PG rated it there, and I joined the church. And I mean, you're right, there are men and women who are judgmental in that regard. And I don't know what to say other than, God loves you. What a great responsibility you've taken on with those children. And you certainly cannot be criticized for that. Not by me. So, I mean, you'd be surprised how not alone you are in what you've experienced. Because we in the church are so private and we keep our church face on anytime we're in public. And when I first told folks about my, quote, conversion story, they just went, oh my gosh. And I can't believe you told everybody that. And so, but you'd be surprised. And my heart goes out to them. And if anybody is, like Paula says, if he's not willing to accept you as who you are, then forget it. Forget him. No. My first marriage lasted about 16 years. And then I was divorced also. And when I married my second wife, after we'd been dating a few weeks, he said, I need to tell you something. Okay. And she told me, well, you'll be husband number 4. And it didn't make one moment's difference in my thought or love for her. Of course, she's since passed away. And if she knew I was telling you this, and she probably does, she would have a big baseball bat laid right on my head. She was very private. And she probably wouldn't wanted me to tell you that. But I'd like to say don't worry about it, but that's not going to work. We're going to worry about it, aren't we? But God loves you. I really have a deep commitment of understanding that God loves all of us. And we're here to make all these mistakes, and I've got a whole list of them. I'm not going to tell you all of them.
Thank you, Fred. Anyone else?
Paula, can I make a comment?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You know, Brian said that about welcome to the Misfit Club. I've only been married once, never been divorced, widowed, but I sure feel like I'm part of the Misfit Club. Being single in the church, I think no matter what your circumstances is, you feel somewhat like a misfit. Unfortunately. And to Fred's comment, welcome to humanity. Welcome to being human. We're all human. I have heard a couple of comments and seen a couple of comments from other people in the last few days being discouraged about their dating circumstances and saying I must not be good enough or something because I'm just not having any success. And as I was contemplating the comments from one person, some thoughts came to mind, and I made an analogy in my answer to this person analogous to shopping for clothing. And I said, you know, when you go shopping for clothing, as you go through all of these myriad of options, you're just kind of looking for something that looks like what you think you need or what may fit, and you find something that you think may be it, and you kind of hold it out at arm's length, and you kind of look at it, you maybe hold it against you to see how it may or may not fit, and then you check the material, and you may even hang on to it as you continue to shop, because you think, if I don't find anything better, at least this will do, or maybe it will do. I think we tend to do that sometimes in dating. We and it's not necessarily us. It's not necessarily what we're looking for. It's just that the match just isn't quite there. And I think we as singles in the church need to kind of get the idea that it's not necessarily that we're not good enough, or it's not necessarily that the person is rejecting us. It's just that it's just not quite, it's just not quite what the situation calls for. So I think we kind of need to get over that. I don't know if that's a good comment or not.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Roger. I think I don't know I think you guys can read Dale's comment here. Says, I believe that any man and woman who live the true principles can build a great loving relationship in marriage. I agree. It takes two. I don't feel that you or I are supposed to search for someone right person, predestined to be our right person. We are to learn to love imperfect people who are real and not waste our years looking for Peter perfect or Paul perfect. Okay, Dale, I'm gonna have to scan your comments before I read them, I think. But anyway, so I let me just clarify. When I say it takes one person, I mean I'm in a monogamous relationship. In a monogamous marriage is what I mean by one person. I'm not at all saying that, we have some soulmate out there. We got some one person predestined from pre-existence. That's not at all what I'm saying. All I'm saying is you look for that one person that will accept you as you are, that you can accept as they are, and that imperfection that feels so right that that you can, share a bathroom with, you can do laundry with, you can cook meals together. Doesn't that sound so romantic? That you can live together, get a day and pay those bills together, go on family vacations and juggle all the kids and the grandkids, right? Isn't that what we're looking for? So, right? That's what I'm talking about. That one person that will be that person at the end of the day that won't give up, that will keep coming home, that will stay with you, that won't quit on you through the good times, through the bad times, all that jazz. One person is what I'm talking about, not predestination. I think if you're thinking that, that's not what I mean. Sorry, I needed to clarify that. Okay. Anybody else?
I'd like to say something about dating outside the church.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Paula?
Go ahead.
I was divorced 35 years ago, and I was really mad. My wife, ex-wife, she was very active in a church, and so she was very active, Relief Society president and all those things, but then decided to leave. When I dated non-members, and luckily I'm still a member of the church. And as I was looking, I realized, well, this is not going to get me where I want to go. It may be fun and affectionate and etc. But I realized I really wanted something, so I had my list. I think I've seen women put together a list of what they want in their next man. And so what I came to the conclusion was that among the different things, you think you want, is that I wanted someone I could go to the temple with. And it just came to me one night when I was at the temple with somebody, and it sort of said, this completes your list, Fred. This is what you want. And I don't want to spend a life with someone who doesn't share that special spiritual experience. Because you can't share that with a non-member. It just doesn't work. My ex-wife became inactive and like living with a non-member who didn't want anything to do with the church. So it's really uncomfortable and it's not fulfilling. But to be able to hold out, if you will, for someone who can share that experience with you, I really think it's worth it. I didn't remarry for 4, because I was a young guy then, really young. And so I decided, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold out until something shows up or something happens. And I did finally meet, after a couple of more years, of someone that I fell in love with and married. And she and I shared the faith in the gospel and shared the temple together. And I wouldn't go with it. I don't want to go without that. So besides, I will say that, well, I'm not going to say anymore. But anyway, it's kind of
Thank you, Fred.
keep it short here, Paula.
What?
I'm really very committed to that. And don't even look at other women who are not of our faith. There is another reason not to do that, because it's very tempting to me, even though I'm an old guy. I'm not dead. And so difficult to resist temptations that come along. It's gotten me into trouble. It could get me into trouble. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Into my story.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that. Anyone else want to make a comment? Say anything? Pat, you're unmuted. Did you want to share a thought?
I'm not even sure where to start. There's been a lot that's been shared. I'm far from a perfect man. The conference in Charleston was the first conference I've gone to. So it was interesting to see all the other singles, meet a bunch of new people, all new people. Like you, Fred, I've gone down that road of, nothing's happening here. I live in Wisconsin. The number of active LDS is pretty insignificant by population. So, it's a very, very shallow pool. And unfortunately, most of the ladies that are in my area are also related. So there's also that. But, I've gone down that journey, gone down that road of, nothing's happening here. Maybe I just start looking, just start dating. And I came to that very same conclusion that you did, Fred, and I did it very soon. I went out with one woman, I think twice. And I said, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I need. I need a woman that I can go to the temple with. Could she be converted? Maybe. I didn't want to take that chance. I don't want to live that life. And that's kind of how it was in the last years of my marriage. I was married for 25 years, and 20 of them were really pretty good. But all that being said, we need to look, we need to see, we need to put ourselves out there, like you started in the beginning with, Paula. We need to work on ourselves. I've been an active member my whole life. Well, most of my life anyway. I had to go to BYU to be less active. I'm certainly not mistake-free. I've gone through the addiction recovery program. I was the facilitator in the addiction recovery program. a lot of times sharing the struggles that you faced is really, as odd as it seems, it may be an icebreaker, because people know that, what, you've lived real life too. You're not Peter Priesthood. You're not, and that's being Peter Priesthood's a bad thing, but people look for real people. And that's I guess that's about all I've got to add at this time. So
No problem. Thank you. So, so back to what Heidi was sharing is that, there's a lot of people that have a story. In fact, my thoughts was, early on was who in their right mind would want to take this on. I'll share, and just, I don't know how much you know about me, but I'm not going to share a whole lot, but I've been married 3 times. I have 5 kids by 3 different men. I have a son with Asperger's, which most men can't seem to get past. I have a past I'm not necessarily proud of as far as the choices that I made in marriages or whatever. And but we all have our stuff. And I can honestly tell you, there are so many men out there that just, it's going to be a non-issue. And I know Brian Poole made the comment of, and I was paraphrasing instead of reading it, but it's more of a flirt to convert type thing. And it doesn't have to necessarily be out of the question. I just know that for what I want and for what I want for my children, for what I want for my future, I'm not going to date or marry a non-member. That was just a decision I had made. And not only that, for the members that I date, they had to keep certain standards. I've dated men that were members of the church, but we had a different viewpoint on certain things related to the gospel. And that wasn't going to work. Then there were people that have a different viewpoint on a lot of different things. Remember the 5 things that we need to agree on to have a good, solid relationship is religion and all that's entailed in that. There are different aspects of religion that are important to me. And if that's not important to the man that I'm going to marry, then I know that would not work. Now, everybody else will have different things that are important to them. It's because we're all unique, which is so awesome, right? And then there's also the parenting. Whether you have children at home or grown children, parenting is something to discuss. Money. I can't tell you how many relationships go south just because of money. You've got to talk about that beforehand. Recreation. Find stuff fun to do together because you've got to have fun. It gets you through tough times. And fun is not intimacy, which is the 5th thing. That is separate, okay? Intimacy also, though, needs to be discussed before you get married. I would recommend after you're engaged. It's just my opinion. You do with it what you want to do it. But those things do need to be discussed and agreed on, or at least, some sort of communication happening with those before. And too many people wait till after thinking they can work it all out later. And it's not going to happen. Don't rush a relationship. And that's easier said than done. But a relationship does take time to really develop. Even when you meet somebody and you feel that strong connection and you feel like, okay, this could be it. But you still got to put time into it to get to know them, right? To really know who they are and that kind of thing. And then Brian Kellogg did share with us a while back some things that I'm going to share tonight. And I'm going to try to find it because he typed it out for me because I told him if I want to talk about this, and I'm guessing he just couldn't be with us tonight. There's the relationship, it's about the relationship attachment model. We have talked about this before, but tonight I want to get into it just a little bit more for the next half hour, and then about 8:30 we'll want to try to wrap this up. But it says the relationship attachment model says that the level of previous pillars should always be higher than the next. So they are know, trust, commit, rely, and touch. Okay? Know, K-N-O-W, is what we know about someone, how their spirituality is, their interests, their temperament, etc. Trust is how much we can open up to that person and feel that we can trust that they are being honest and that they're who they say they are. Commit. And we talked about trust last week in our webinar, so if you guys caught that, we did touch on that a little bit. I'm happy to talk about that more tonight. Commit is asking the person to make and keep commitments from the simple such as, can you pick up a gallon of milk for me? Or to be more involved, like dating exclusively. Rely is being able to count on someone to be there and to do what they've committed to do. For example, having them drop you off at an appointment and relying on them to pick you up. Relying on them to do what they said they were going to do, which kind of is a rely and a trusting at the same time. And then touch is mainly physical. However, it also applies to letting them touch your heart and allowing emotions into the relationship. So what I do also know is that there's no particular time frame for any of that. I know I shared a while back that I used to have a rule that I wasn't going to let a man touch me, hold my hand, kiss me, or whatever until we'd gone on 5 dates. Now I've since changed that because, you know, I've learned that there's no real time frame on that. It's something that you just kind of take time. Adele says, I want to say to all you sisters, don't be discouraged. Many of us, male and female, will not find an eternal companion on this side of the veil. Yeah, we can go into that on another conversation. Thank you, Adele. So for tonight, we want to let's talk about this relationship attachment model, because we all want a healthy relationship, right? None of us want to get into an abusive relationship. I share those. I could write books on it. I don't want to do that. Also, we just don't want that negative influence within our hearts, within our souls, within our homes, right? We all want something positive and uplifting and loving. Can we all agree on that? I mean, who wants to sign up for anything other, right? And a lot of times, it is that like Heidi had mentioned earlier, when we shorten our pool, because if we're working on personal development and they're not, they could still be in an angry stage. Early on in our webinars, we talked about the stages of grief, and that's divorced, widowed, whatever, right? And when somebody's not completely through those stages, they're not ready for a relationship. And if you get them during the stage of anger, that's not going to be a happy one. That's not going to help you, right? So, Fred's asked me to repeat the 5 steps of the relationship model. Know, K-N-O-W, know somebody, getting to know somebody. Trust, develop trust. Commit, rely, and touch. Okay? So when you take the time to get to know somebody, you can do that. If you spend enough time, you can get to know somebody fairly well in a week. You can get to know somebody okay in a month. This depends on how much time you take with them, right? You can, quite honestly though, you're never going to know everything. You can still be learning about that person when you're 90. There'll be different things that will develop throughout the relationship, and you'll learn different things. And then to trust somebody, trusting them to do what they say they're going to do, to be there for you, to be able to believe what they tell you. Now, there'll be people that'll say, I have trust issues, right? Because my ex betrayed me or whatever, so I don't know that I can trust again. Well, the thing is that people who feel they can't trust are holding more on to fear than the inability to trust. And the first person you've got to trust is trusting in the Lord. That He will bring the Spirit to your heart and to your soul to help guide you in finding that person for you. Because your connection initially could be spirit to spirit. Because most of the time, I mean, think about it. You're going to go to a single adult event, and a lot of people, sadly, had this myth that you're going to look across the room and you're going to meet eyes, and you're just going to know it's going to be blissfully happy after that, right? Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? You're going to find your true love. It's not at all the way it's going to work. I tell people all the time, do not expect to find the one at a single adult event. At least your first one. You know, I mean, like, you can continue to go and get to know people and whatever, and you're all good. But if you go to one event, let's say you go to a dance, and you expect to find the one, that night you will leave 99.9% of the time sadly disappointed. It takes time to develop a relationship. It takes time to develop something that comes in a healthy way. I know I've also shared with you guys in the past, at least I think I've shared it here and I've shared it with my friends. I have this knack for being able to tell certain men in the room that, I'm trying to put this delicately, that I would not have a healthy relationship with, shall we say. Because of the way I was raised, I tend to be anyway, I'm not going to go too much on that. Anyway, so I just know that the Spirit's like telling me when I go into a room, just basically who I would not have a healthy relationship with, and I'm grateful for that. So I had to learn it though through the years to recognize that's what it was, because in the beginning it didn't feel like that. It felt like a little weird, like, well, maybe that's the person I need to get to know. And then over time, I've learned, oh no, that's the Spirit warning me, telling me, don't go to that guy. So that has helped me a lot. And so the first person that we need to develop that relationship with is always the Lord, because the Spirit can guide you in whatever direction. It does take time to develop a relationship. However much time the Lord deems necessary, how much time you feel like you need, or whatever, right? I don't know that there's ever a perfect pattern for everybody. I really just don't think that there is. I think we're all individuals and we're all at different places. And when it happens, it'll happen. I don't believe that there's a soulmate out there for everybody. I don't believe that that's what we're being taught. And but I do believe that there's a good person out there for everybody, and two people that are willing to follow the path that the Lord has set up and make a good marriage, can make an awesome marriage. But to have a healthy relationship, there's a lot of men out there that are also working on their own personal development, just as there are women out there doing the same thing. There are people that want that healthy relationship. Some just don't know how. Some do. Some are learning. So as you get to know somebody, you do tend to take your time and to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to trust somebody, because you're trusting in the Lord to put them in your life and allow that vulnerability. And that's hard, especially if you've been hurt before, to be able to allow somebody to touch your heart, to be able to trust them with that, and know that you're taking a chance. Because I know I had a therapist one time, she goes, quite honestly, marriage is a crapshoot. You know, just roll out the dice and hope for the best kind of thing. And I was like, all righty then. Because that they can always make choices later that will change the outcome of your marriage. It's what happened to a lot of us. How we start out isn't always necessarily how we end up. And then being able to commit to somebody and know that they're going to commit to you, to me, that's huge. That's huge in my book. To be able to let go of all the other options and commit to that one person. That's a big deal. To be able to rely on them and know they're going to be there. And then also be able to touch and have them touch your heart. The one thing I got out of the speakers on Saturday, I honestly don't remember a whole lot from the speakers. I have this verbal comprehension disorder, and so unless I write it down and I review my notes, I'm just not going to retain it all. I'll retain bits and pieces, but Christy Kane, I loved, and I love the fact that she changed the rest of the conference. She made it acceptable to be hugged and to give hugs. And it wasn't like everybody had to do the 8-second hug, right? But there were willing participants in that. And I swear, I think I was hugged more in those 2 days than I've been hugged in a long time. And that was kind of awesome. All right. So I feel like I've talked a lot tonight, and I appreciate your thoughts and your comments and everything, but I want to open it up to have other people share their thoughts and their comments, and see if we can get a discussion going with this. Either the relationship attachment model or what we were talking about earlier with feeling discouraged, or feeling like the Lord's timing isn't my timing, kind of thing.
Paula,
Mm-hmm.
the attachment, what is it? The attachment relationship model? Is that what it's called?
The relationship attachment model.
And the first thing is to get to know someone.
Yes.
And so here we are, a group of folks participating in an event, and we're learning about one another in some form or fashion.
Yes.
Single adults, the events that we have are mostly about getting to know someone.
Yes.
And so, these are the opportunities we're all looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I don't understand is, if this is what everyone is looking for, how come we don't get more people who are involved in these sorts of events, especially single adult events? I mean, if this is what we're really looking for, and this is the starting line, this is where everybody needs to be.
Amen. You
my
will
2
not get an argument from me on that one. Oh my goodness. Yes, you're right. I mean, completely. We provide the platform, right? We provide the opportunity for people to get to know each other. Too many people are falling victim to the myths of the single adult program. Too many people think it's the losers club, right? Too many people think that, well, why bother? No one's going to be there. They have that defeated kind of attitude toward it, like, it's not going to matter. Try putting in 12 years, month after month after month. I could have easily have given up so long ago. Easily.
Hey, Paula.
Yes.
Don't make it sound like a prison sentence.
No, it's not. Sorry, I wasn't trying to. I'm just like, it is the opportunity, though, that's awesome. It's an inspired program, right? Too many people are looking for something online. Online is an illusion. It's fake. And you're going to run into way more scammers than you are real people. You're going to be able to run into people who can say anything, whether it's real or not. You've got to be able to come in person to meet people. Nobody can be in a relationship if they have not met them, if they have not interacted with them, if they have not truly gotten to know them person to person. I believe that. Now, again, that's my strong opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But putting the time in, showing the Lord that you're willing to support a program that you may or may not love, to attend an activity that you may or not be thrilled with, to be able to meet somebody, to get to know them, and to be a part, to show up, to do your part. It's huge. I completely amen to that one, Roger. I'm telling you, I spend so many hours preparing those activities. So I love it when people do show up to participate. It's awesome.
May I make just one other comment?
Go right ahead.
I think the biggest, and if you want to call it a problem, I guess we can call it a problem. But the analogy that I'm thinking of is trying to drink out of a fire hose versus drinking out of a drinking fountain. And I think sometimes we go to the events like we had last weekend, and it's kind of like drinking out of a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much. There's so many people. I'm kind of a drinking fountain kind of guy. You know, I can only drink so much so fast. But the thing of it is, you just keep going back to the drinking fountain, and you drink at your pace, and you get to know people a little bit at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And you make friends, and that's, again, I go back to the model. That's the starting line.
Yep.
And here's the opportunity.
Well, quite honestly, you could take care of know and trust in that relationship model to a single adult event. Because as you get to know them, you trust that they will continue to show up. You can also trust that, if the relationship does develop anymore, then it can go a little bit further than that. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me how much that does apply to the single adult program. Okay, any other comments?
Sure. I appreciate your comments there, Roger, and I completely understand the drinking fountain. My situation just a wee bit different. Yeah, I had 1,100-mile drive to get to that event. I needed the fire hose. But all kidding aside, I'm an early morning seminary teacher, and we've discussed a lot of these things, a lot of these principles with the youth. And there's one thing that the scriptures make abundantly clear. Don't ask me to tell you where it is because I don't remember off the top of my head. But the Lord expects us to do some action. He's willing to give us answers, but he wants to see that we're actively engaged in seeking for it. He doesn't want to just give it to us because we ask. He wants to give it to us because we're curious enough and diligent enough to put in the work.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I'm a little torn about the online stuff. I have attempted online dating. It hasn't been a wonderful experience at all, but I received the blessing from my state president, and he made it very clear that I would not find anybody here in the area that I live in. And he said that it was probably going to be through online. And so a part of me struggles with, well, what's the point of going to the single stuff if my one is, online? But at the same time, I'm glad that I participated tonight. I was in a very bad state of mind, and now, I get it. I need to surround myself with you guys, because I don't feel so alone being on this call with you all. And this was for me tonight, Paula. I was really losing it. Thank you so much for doing this and for being vulnerable with us and sharing your time with us. So I plan on being at Lake Lanier August 8th through the 11th. Whether I meet someone or not, but I hope I do. I hope I can meet someone face to face. The online stuff has been very scary, and very just. I don't like it. I don't like it. You can't get to know them, and trust is a huge issue for me. I am totally living in fear based on my past pain, and it is very scary for me. But so I'm a little torn between the online thing. So maybe it's something where I can meet someone at a singles event, and then we just have to communicate through email or something or text. I don't know, but I don't want to really do the online thing, and I hope that state president's advice is hopefully can change.
Pat, did you want to say something on that?
If I may,
Yes.
you have to take the whole online thing with a grain of salt, obviously. I had an interesting experience. I met a lady, and we liked each other a lot. She was beautiful, she was smart, she was funny. We connected all across the board. She said, "Hey, let's do a temple date." I said, "Great." We live a long ways apart, so it was hard to get it together. She says, "Well, I'm going with my sister this weekend." And she come back the next week and she says, "You know what? I prayed about it in the temple, and it's not meant to be." I'm looking up and saying, "Really, God? Really?" We've maintained a friendship, and she actually moved closer to my area, and I'm over near Green Bay, Wisconsin. She's near the Twin Cities in Minnesota. She says, "Hey, they got a great singles group here. You should join it." Had I not joined that group, I would never have known about the mega conference in Charleston. I mean, so the Lord, they always say He works in mysterious ways, and I testify to you that is true. I had an absolutely wonderful time in Charleston. Met a couple of people that are pretty special to me, and I'll just leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Pat. So yeah, on the online dating, Heidi, can I clarify your state president? Did he say that that you would meet somebody online, or did he say probably because it's just not somebody from your area?
He told me to pray about which site to actually join and get on, and that I don't remember if he said probably online or will be online. I can't remember.
But the blessing, did it just say that was it just evident in that blessing that you it would just not be from your area, but not specifically in there?
I'm not sure it wasn't in. Actually, it didn't say it in the blessing. It was after the blessing, and we were conversing after the blessing, and that's when he said had him.
Okay, because I want to
gave me a blessing for comfort and things like that, and then he after he was like, "I have these impressions that it's gonna happen after your son graduates," which my son is 15. He'll graduate in 3 years. So he even gave me kind of like a timeline that it would be.
Yeah. Okay. So
that it would be. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Wow. That's really cool. Well, and you're in Mississippi, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, conferences are great places to meet people from all over. For instance, the mega conference, we had people from 28 or 29 states and Canada. Okay. I know here in Atlanta, we have people that come from all over. So you may not meet somebody in Mississippi, but you could meet somebody in the Carolinas or Florida or, Tennessee or Virginia or whatever, right? So maybe not in your area. And I always joke with my people here. I'm like, people know me too well here in the Southeast, and my dating opportunities are slim to none. So I would joke with them. I'm like, it's going to have to be a man that comes from the outside. I always said the outside of the Southeast that doesn't know who I am, that isn't going to know about, who I am as far as a leader of the singles or whatever. Able to have an interest in me, which has happened. So it's kind of awesome that way. But anyway, it is just amazing to me how the Lord prepares us. So when you said that, I'm like, that can totally happen with meeting somebody at Lake Lanier or wherever, Rock the Dock or whatever, just not from our area. Because I know Mississippi, that's a small group down there. So honey, you might want to get out of Mississippi. There we go. So be prepared. Yeah, and I'm all for that. All right. So all right, any other comments?
Paula?
Yeah.
Meeting online is not so bad to initiate, just basically someone makes an acquaintance.
Coming from the point of view of a man, just saying.
Say what?
Coming from the point of view of a man, just saying.
Well, again, I go back to my basic premise is
I know.
we all have to get to know one another first.
Oh, we do. We totally do.
That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
And how we meet is really immaterial. It could be online. It could be at a conference. It could be at the grocery store, for that matter.
Yeah.
But
Roger, what I mean by that is most women encounter more scammers than we do real men online.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I mean. Sorry, no, that's okay. That's just what I didn't mean that to sound rude, because I realized that sounded rude when I said from the point of view of men. I wasn't meaning that. Love you, Roger. But it's just when you're a real man, it's a lot easier to find a real woman versus finding a real woman finding a real man online. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I'll just hush now.
I'll shut up.
It's okay. Daniel, you're unmuted. Did you want to share any comments or thoughts?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You got the floor. Yes.
Well, my situation, and I'll be brief, was I was so broken that the only thing that could fix me was our Heavenly Father. So once He, the Holy Spirit's guidance and care and lovingness, and was able to convert my heart, then I personally myself was able to, with our Father's guidance, was able to heal them, was able to become a better person. And slowly but surely he's converting me to a person that I really like. And who can give away love if they don't love themselves? I'm not saying that to be conceited or prideful, but it's true. If I'm not in love with our Father in heaven with all my heart, mind, and soul, and His Son for all that He did for me, then I'm kind of lost. And to find somebody that has that same idea or that same track to the eternities is what I'm searching for. And I'm stuck here, but I don't want to be stuck here. I want to have a mate that will be in the same mindset as I'm sitting outside underneath the porch light.
Okay.
And the mosquitoes are starting to bite me, and anyway, and the automatic light keeps going off. But so yeah, if we are not, me included, if I'm not positive with who I am, then I'm kind of I'm a little bit carrying my baggage around still, then people can feel that and they don't really want to be around it. So, or if they do, it's they think that maybe they can fix us. I don't know, but that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
And,
Thank you for sharing.
That's it for me now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, good to see you all.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Have anything you want to share? Any other thoughts? See, did I miss anything in the chat? Oh, probably. Yeah, if you guys want to go back to listen to Brian Kellogg, I love how Brian Poole set this out. If you want to listen to him, it was week 11 or 12 when Brian Kellogg went into the relationship model just a little bit more. And then it was really awesome because it's just a way to just kind of keep in mind that we are all worthy of a healthy relationship. But it must start with Heavenly Father, as Daniel pointed out. It must start then also with ourselves. Have a healthy relationship with yourself. That self-talk matters. It just so matters. And not in a conceited way. You don't want to, because you got to remember there's a fine line. Maybe there's a fine line. That you just don't want to go the other way where you're going from putting yourself down to, making yourself feel like you're just up on a pedestal and everything. You still want to be real with yourself. But you just want to accept yourself and be okay with it and be at peace. Like I shared on Easter Sunday, forgiving ourselves sometimes is the hardest thing to do, but it's got to be done. And once you accept that and you accept who you are and like where you are and just know that you can keep improving and developing who you are, that's just so awesome. Jennifer, I haven't heard from you tonight. How are you doing? I always love your comments.
I was trying not to talk so much tonight because I tend to talk a lot. No, I think that it is really important for us to remember that it starts with us and how we are when we are around people. Our vibe definitely is sent through our body language, through our actual our tone, through all of those things. And if we're not careful, if we're in a bad frame of mind, or if we're not healed all the way and we've got that negative reel going in our heads, all of that is going to be conveyed onto those people that we're bumping into. And we need to show up every day as our best selves and always put our best selves out there. None of us are perfect. No, we never will be. We can try really hard to do our best, but we're never going to be perfect. We just have to be our best self. And hopefully, like you said, every day get better and better. I think that to talk to Heidi's point, absolutely you shorten your pool. Absolutely, because you're worth it.
Yes.
Every
Amen.
one of us, every woman in this world, every man in this world deserves to have somebody that loves and respects them in a way that they deserve to be loved and respected. Hold out for it, because I know one day there will be a beautiful thing that will happen in my life, and I'm willing to wait for it. So I would encourage everybody to wait for it.
Thank you. Thank you. If you are experiencing negative self-talk, here's what I recommend. There are, I don't know if you're familiar with mantras or not, or affirmations. There are apps. They have those. I have a couple of them on my phone. I have one called Daily Affirmations, and about 2 or 3 times a day it'll change whatever it's saying. Right now, oh man, I've got too many messages covering it up right now. It says, I am a confident public speaker. Who knew, right? So anyway, that's what it's telling me now. So about 2 or 3 times a day, though, it will change. And it's always that positive going into my head. I rarely now, if ever, have any negative self-talk. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I catch it when it does, and it's going to go out because it's going to get replaced by something positive. And again, not in a conceited way, but just in a way that I'm liking who I am. I'm loving who I am. I love the woman that I have become through all my crap in my life. I took the life I was dished out and made the most of it. Have I been perfect along the way? There's no flipping way. I still make mistakes. I still, do things wrong. That's why I'm so grateful for the atonement. And I'm grateful that the Savior loved me enough to be able to do that for me and do that for all of us so that we could be able to walk away from it and forgive ourselves and be okay with where we are now. As long as we're constantly improving ourselves and constantly doing things better, that's awesome. One of my favorite mantras that I say is, I'd rather be single than to settle. If ever you're in any type of a friendship or a relationship, when you feel like you're settling, when you feel like you're justifying, well, it's only that he does, maybe it's something to do with the word of wisdom. Maybe it's only da-da-da-da-da. I could live with that maybe. Maybe it's whatever, right? I mean, you could justify yourself to death pretty much, or the relationship as much as you want to, but then you're settling. And we are not looking for perfection. I don't want a perfect man at all, because I am not a perfect woman. I will definitely accept where they are, who they are, whatever. I have certain things related to the gospel, certain things related to different aspects of those 5 things, the religion, parenting, money, whatever, that are important to me. And it's not like I got a big old long list. It's just a few things that matter to me. And I've become kind of a flexible person. I can kind of live with different things. And that's okay. That's a good thing. That's who I am, though. You develop who you are. You become who you were meant to be. Because the Lord has great things in store for us. And our challenges were meant to help us grow personally. And what we do with those challenges matter. It just matters. And who we become and how we rely on the Lord, and do we trust in the Lord, right? So let's take that relationship attachment model and apply that to the Lord. Do we know the Lord? Do you trust the Lord? Will you commit to the Lord? Can you rely on the Lord? Has the Lord touched your heart? Go through that relationship attachment model with that first. Apply that in your life. Apply that even in relation to yourself. Do you know yourself? Do you trust yourself? Are you committed to living the way that you need to live? Can you rely on yourself to do that? And have you been able to touch yourself or touch other people in other ways? Make sure that you do that. You can go through that with any relationship, right? It's so important that we do that. And if you're not trusting in the Lord, you're not quite ready to trust in somebody else. Because your relationship with the Lord and yourself need to happen before you develop a healthy relationship with other people. So get yourself to a point where you can be ready. And if you're there now, that's amazing and that's wonderful and that's awesome, right? That's fabulous. Then use that relationship attachment model as you go about developing healthy relationships. Change that self-talk. No self-defeating talk at all. Just get rid of it. It's Satan's way. It doesn't show modesty. It's more of a way of having somebody feel less than. And we believe everything we're told subconsciously. And remember, we don't get what we deserve. We get what we believe we deserve. That's why I tell you that you attract what you reflect. Any other thoughts or comments anybody want to make tonight?
Actually, Big Mouth over here wants to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
I think that we have to remember, we talk about our baggage. Without that baggage, we would never become the people we are right now. So we have to maybe not use that in such a negative way and look at the things that we've gone through in our past to say, hey, I've gone through these really hard things and they have refined me into the human being that I am today. And, baggage is such a negative connotation, in my opinion. What a blessing it is that I've come through these hard things. What a blessing it is that I have been able to find the new me through all of these challenges. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
I just love you, Jennifer.
Thanks. I love you too, girl.
I love that perspective. Oh yeah. That's awesome. That's so wonderful. Anyone else want to make any other comments or share any other thoughts, ask any questions? All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your Sunday evening with me. I do hope that, Brian's telling me, look in the chat for a link. Sorry, I'm not keeping up with the chat. Oh, Brian added a link. There's a link to a topic, Codependency No More, session 16, if you want to look at that. I'll give you guys a minute to get that before we close out.